Hey guys, welcome to the 6th episode of Motor Minds. Believe it or not, I can't believe we've been at it for this long. But today we are in a 2012 Audi Q5 Quattro. So, Audi Q5, it's basically the mid-level crossover that Audi puts out there to compete with the increasingly competitive crossover market. Everyone nowadays wants to buy a crossover. It's crazy. It's like crossovers have replaced what was the mid-size sedan. Everyone wants to have them due to their increased capabilities off-road and the fact that they're more practical. You can throw more stuff in the back, you can fit potentially more people in them if you had a 7-passenger. They're just more practical vehicles overall, and the market is being drawn towards them. So, let's see if Audi did a good job with its new Q5. So, let's start with the styling. I think the styling on this car is a slam dunk for Audi. It's very contemporary, very conservative, classic Audi styling. You have the coveted 4 rings in the front, and that's basically all that really matters with this car. People that buy Audis are buying Audis just because they're Audis. It's all about that badge. It's what people look for. And in order for Audi to secure its market, they need to make sure that the Q5 wasn't a questionable design. They wanted to make sure that it would appeal to everyone that's looking into an Audi, and I think they did a good job of that. The whole front end is very contemporary, it's upscale, and it looks solid, and it has a lot of road presence. You're going to notice this car going down the road. And then moving on to the sides, there's not a whole lot going on there. It's just kind of there. I mean, there's not a lot of styling cues. It's just very reserved. And then moving on to the back, I really like the rear taillights. They're very shapely, they're nicely sculpted, and they look pretty angular, which makes the car look a little more aggressive. And besides that, there's really not a lot going on back there. You have the typical hatchback design, and the hatch on this car, I really like it. It opens wide so you can fit big items in the back. So moving on to the powertrain of the Audi, it's very interesting what they've done. It's actually a 2-liter turbo 4, and you may be thinking that that's going to be underpowered when you're having to haul around an SUV of this size, but it actually does a really good job because it has 256 pound-feet of torque. Now that is key. These turbo engines put out a lot of low-end torque, so you can get on the gas and you can go. You actually have a lot of power here. It feels very, very peppy, which is something that you wouldn't expect from a car having 211 horsepower, but that torque just makes up for it like you wouldn't believe. And it's paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission, which also has sport mode, which it doesn't have paddle shifters, which I really wish all cars with sport mode had paddle shifters, but the shifter works really well. It shifts really quickly, and this transmission is super smooth. It just has buttery smooth shifts, which I really love. It's very unobtrusive. And this powertrain goes through Audi's Quattro 4-wheel drive system, and I can't say enough good things about Quattro. It provides so much grip. Just going around corners, you have tons of grip, and this thing is a beast in the snow. My friend and I have actually driven a Q5 before in the snow, and it just doesn't get stuck. It grips like you wouldn't believe. You have tons of control. So if you really want a good 4-wheel drive system in your next car, I'd really consider an Audi Q5 or any Audi product with Quattro. So this system combined gets 20 city, 28 highway, which really isn't that bad when you look at it. I mean, a lot of SUVs with 4-wheel drive will get considerably worse than that because 4-wheel drive robs a lot of efficiency from the powertrain. So that's actually not too bad. So let's talk about the driving experience of this Audi. Now, it's a big SUV, so you wouldn't really be expecting it to handle all that well, but that's the Audi's party piece. This car handles really well. It's kind of reminiscent of what you would expect in a small hatchback. The steering is very direct. It has a very good weight to it. It's not heavy and it's not light. It has this perfect medium. And I just think it feels very well controlled. You can chuck it into a corner and you'll feel very confident that's going to come out the other side no problem, which is just something that I really like. It makes the car fun to drive around on a back road. And when you're at slow speeds, it lightens up really nicely, which I really like. It makes it not a burden to drive in town, which is really nice because, I mean, this car is going to be driven in town a lot of the time. So one thing that Audi did do to give this car a more sporty appeal is give it a stiff ride. Now, I'm not going to say that the ride is uncomfortable because it's not. It's just oddly firm for this class. You would expect it to have a bit more compliance and maybe separate you a bit more from road imperfections. I mean, you don't feel like you're getting chucked around, because while it's a firm ride, it's still a very composed ride. It doesn't feel unsettled, but I just wish they had made it a bit more comfortable. I mean, the SQ5 is where you're going to want the really firm ride. This car, not so much. But that's not to say it's an uncomfortable car, which leads me on to the interior. The interior in this car is really nice. It's very contemporary, traditional Audi styling on the inside. You have the traditional Audi air vents, the black padded dashboard, the swaths of wood all over the place, and you have the typical Audi infotainment system, which you have come to expect in pretty much all Audis nowadays. They're all pretty much the same on the inside, but it's a very nice interior. It's really refined, and there's really no complaints to be had here. You can see the torque just does its job in this car. It really does. A little bit off topic, but yeah, the seats in this car, they're not real leather, they're this faux leather, but they are super comfortable. It kind of makes up for the ride having these really comfortable supportive seats. They have tons of adjustment, they're really well padded, and I just really like them. You kind of sink into them, and they're really good for a long trip. I don't mind them at all. So one thing I really don't like about this Audi is its controls. So they're a bit too complicated. You have the center stack, which has a bunch of buttons, which that's not too hard to figure out, but what's really annoying is the screen above the center stack. Now, it's not a touch screen like most cars have nowadays. It's controlled by this little knob in the middle of the center stack, and I don't like that. It's too finicky, and it's too hard to figure out what button to press to get which command on the screen to do what you want. Now, honestly, having a touchscreen just makes it a lot more intuitive, because you can see the button on the screen and just press it, rather than having to use a sequence of buttons on the center console to get what you want on the screen. I mean, that's just annoying. It's just very, very annoying. But the rest of the interior, it feels very airy. You have this really nice panoramic moonroof, which opens up, and there's a ton of space in here. It doesn't feel like it's small, which is another thing that's really cool about this car. Whilst it's a big SUV, it feels like a hatchback inside. It doesn't feel big. It doesn't feel like you have to thread it through city streets. It doesn't feel like you're driving a big fat car. Now, that's not to say that this car feels small. It definitely has road presence, but it's easy to drive because of that. And the other thing I love is that you can just get a hint of turbocharged, happy little just whoosh whoosh noises, which I love to hear. You get on the gas and you hear, woo! It's like, let's see if I can get some noise. No, it's not gonna make any of the whooshy turbocharged noises. Oh well. So let's talk about the Audi's personality a little bit. It's very sophisticated, very upscale, and because of that, it's not a fun car to drive. It may have good handling characteristics, but it just doesn't stir your soul. It's very much like a businessman's car, or someone that's done well in life, someone that's very serious, someone that only wears black suits and lives out in the suburbs, drives into his job at 8 a.m., drives home at 4 p.m., and those people aren't very interesting. Not to say interesting people don't own the Audi. I know some very interesting people that own Audis, that's for sure. Not gonna lie there. But, I mean, this car just doesn't stir my soul. It doesn't get me going. It's very much the car that you would get just because you want something that's upscale, just because you want to fit in with the Joneses. I mean, there's nothing that really differentiates this car from the rest of the market. I mean, and that's what makes it so competitive, because this market is just kind of a bland market that everyone's just buying into. You don't have to do a lot to differentiate yourself, which is kind of a shame. I wish they made this car a bit more spicy, give it a bit more attitude, a bit more fun. And it's kind of a shame that they didn't do that, but honestly, it was a smart decision on their part, because the people that buy this car don't care. They just want luxury, sophistication, and that's what you get in the Audi Q5. Well, thanks again for watching Motor Minds, guys. Hope to see you guys in episode 7. Hey guys, welcome to the 5th episode of Motor Minds, and today we are in, actually wait, no, is this the 5th or the 6th episode? Damn it. Man, getting confused here. 1, 2, No, it's the 6th. And it's just really annoying. It's hard to figure out which button does what on the touchscreen. Damn it! Not a touchscreen! Okay. But the thing that gets the powertrain on this car into the competition, okay, I'm gonna scratch that. So another thing I love about this Audi's engine, guess that guy's not gonna go. But yeah, one thing I love about this Audi's engine is just the turbo whine that you get. It's really cool. You get this little bit of blow-off valve noise. That's actually not right. No. It's a good shift lever though. It feels nice. It has this nice leather wrapping on it, and it feels good in your hand. It's actually really easy to grip. Its location its location relative to where the central armrest is. 8 speeds of happiness. Don't put that in. It actually kind of rev matches the downshifts. It actually kind of rev matches the downshifts on the sport mode. Hello, I drive an Audi.